Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Birgit Koopsen, and I'm a brand ambassador for Gelli Arts, and I'm in the Netherlands. And Marcia Valk, also brand ambassador for Gelli Arts, is here, and Jason from Gelli Arts is also here to help answering questions. So if you have any questions, just put them in the chat, and they will help you out. Today we're going to create some fun holiday cards using masking tape, and we will be creating ornaments that you can hang on a card and then send them, and actually you're making a card with a gift. So let's turn the camera to my workspace and then we can get started. Okay, so today I'm going to work on my 8x10 Gelli Arts gel printing plate, and I'm just going to get it out of the original packaging where I always store it. And as you can see, I have it stored between two sheets of copier paper. This is to avoid getting air bubbles that would show up in your prints. So if you happen to have air bubbles, then this might be the answer for you, storing your gel plate between copier paper. And I'm going to place it on a sheet of copier paper too. And I'm going to secure it to my workspace with some masking tape to make sure that it doesn't move while I'm working. And as you can see, I did not clean my gel plate. There are some bits and pieces still on the plate, some paint from previous prints, and I like them on because they will show up in any future prints and with more distress, which I actually like. I'm just quickly going to open the chat so I can try to get an eye on that while I'm working. So I'm going to make these cards. So here are some of my samples. So the cards have the ornaments hanging on them, and they are on them with a piece of twine, so you can easily remove them from the card, and then you can actually use them to decorate your tree or your house or whatever you want to decorate with it. So you can make these ornaments double-sided. So you can cover them on both sides, and you can, so if you hang them in the tree, that you have two pretty sides. And to create these, I'm using cardboard, just simple cardboard from a cardboard box, cut from a cardboard box. And I went online to find some shapes. You can just search for Christmas ornament shapes or something like that, or star shape or Christmas tree. And then you can find these shapes. And I printed them on a heavier copier paper so I can use them as a mask, and put them on the cardboard, just trace them with the pencil as I did here, and then cut them out using a craft knife and a cutting mat. So that is the base for your ornaments. So here I have two that I already cut out, and what I like to do before actually working on them is covering them with a layer of matte medium, because then when I start applying the paper strips, also with matte medium, the matte medium doesn't soak into the to the cardboard so much, and then the strips will adhere better than when the matte medium really soaks in. So I'm using the Liquitex matte medium, and I'm just going to apply a thin layer on top of the cardboard and leave it to dry. And then when I get back to it, to work on it, then the Liquitex matte medium will work better as an adhesive than when it's still soaking up, being soaked up by the cardboard. So I will put these aside so they can dry. And then I will start creating the tape. And the tape that we are going to create looks something like this. So we're going to make a variety of paper strips with all kinds of textures and colors. And so we have a variety to choose from when we are actually going to make the ornaments. And I'm using masking tape to create these strips, which is also a fun material to create collage material, because the masking tape you can get in several sizes. So for the Christmas ornaments, I only used the smaller one, this one, because they are not so big and I want to have at least several strips on one ornament. But if you want to use the strips as collage material, you could use thicker or wider masking tape to create bigger pieces of collage material. So I'm going to put some paint on my plate and create some texture. And today I'm going to use some found objects and also some handmade tools. If you want to know more about these found objects and handmade tools, you can watch some of my previous videos for Michaels, in which I explain about all the stuff that you can use on your gel plate and how to create your own texture tools. So I have a variety of them here, and I'm just going to start with rolling out some paint now. And as you can see in my samples, I'm not using traditional Christmas colors, because I'm not a big fan of traditional Christmas colors. I really like colorful, but of course you can totally do these techniques in the traditional colors, but you can also do, for instance, monochromatic colors if you like that, or even why not black and white, and create a whole bunch of different textures and combine them. So let's make some textures. I'm just going to start, and I will try to create a couple of different textures next to each other on the plate. So I'm not going to create one specific texture on the whole plate, but I'm going to do areas, because I want a variety of colors and textures. So I don't want to have only one. So I'm just going to roll out a strip of paint, and I'm going to use this handmade texture plate, which is basically cardboard with straws on top. And I'm going to use that to remove paint from the plate, which will create stripes. I'm not sure if you can see it very well, but you will see it when I pick up the paint later. And next to this one, I'm going to roll out a different color. If the color comes out, which it doesn't. There we go. So all of the colors that I'm using today are either from Liquitex Basics or Winsor&Newton Galeria, in a variety of colors, and all of them are available at Michaels. So Let's roll this one out. And I can add some texture with, this is just cardboard packaging material. And this side also had a top layer like this, and I peeled it off, and this is what I got. So I could have peeled it off completely to create a clean pattern, but I really like the distressed look of the little bits of a leftover cardboard. So it was on purpose that I didn't peel it off completely. And I'm just going to push that in to this paint, and that way removing paint from the plate. And now I'm going to add yet another color. How about no, I'm going to do a magenta and make it colorful from the start. And just rolling out another strip of paint. And here I'm going to use pill strips, empty pill strips, to create a texture. And I'm actually going to put it back down. My pill strip is picking up paint on this side, and when I put it back down in the clean area, then it's kind of transferring the paint to that area. So I'm basically creating a positive and a negative of that pill strip. Okay, that's that one. And now I'm going to take my favorite color, Prussian blue hue. It's such a nice and deep blue color. I really like it. And I might actually blend it with another color. How about a lemon yellow? And when I blend blue and yellow, I will get a nice green in the middle. And let's see, what kind of texture will I create there? I can use my mini tools, my Gelli Arts mini tools, to create a pattern by removing paint this way, just creating some waves. And let me see if this side is already a bit dry, not completely. I want to add another layer to this, but to do that, this paint has to dry first, because otherwise, if I would, for instance, now put my punchanella down here on the paint while it's still wet, I will remove the paint from the plate when I lift up the punchanella, and that's not what I want to do. So I have to wait for this paint to dry. So how about I just take another plate and put this aside to dry, and I take another gel plate to create some more textures. So here's another one. And I'm just putting it down here. So I can do some more textures, and I want some orange, and I want some, I actually want some purple even though purple is not my favorite color, but it can be a nice little accent to other colors, complementary color. Yeah, I'm just going to do the same as I did on the previous plate, and I'm going to create different strips of color with different textures, because that way we will get the biggest variety of textures and colors possible, and that's what I want. I want a huge variety. So let's I'm going to do this one first. Handmade texture tool, created from foam, self-adhesive foam, and I created the lines in there with embossing tool. So this is also going to remove paint from the plate. It's lifting up the paint and creating the texture. I can also put it back down here, as you can see. And creating even more texture. And I want something here in the middle. So how about some bubble wrap? And in this first stage, all I'm actually doing is removing paint from the plate. I'm creating texture by removing paint from the plate. And then when these layers are dry, I can add more color and texture, and then a final layer before I actually pick up the dried layers from the plate. Let me see. I think a little bit more yellow would be nice. Oh, and the orange. I should not forget the orange. So here I'm doing some orange. And if I feel like I'm having too much paint, I can always roll off my brayer and then go over the paint again, because that's also removing paint from the plate, going over there with a clean brayer. What else do we have? I have this piece of cardboard, which is also a fun texture, and I'm just going to use that on here. And then I also want to use the lace. So I'm going to do something with the lace on this side, and maybe I should use deep green, because I have not used a color similar to that yet. Okay, so when I want to remove paint with the lace, I need a sheet of paper to put on top and press it down, because otherwise my hands would be totally covered with paint. So I'm just protecting my hands this way. And now I can lift up the lace and have the lace pattern here. So now this one is also has to dry also. So I suppose that my first plate is dry. So I'm just going to swap them and put this one back here. And yes, this looks dry now, and I feel like adding some more texture on top of the layers that are already there. So I'm just going to put the punchanella down, and I'm going to roll out some paint. I will make sure that you can see how I do it. So I'm just going to roll out some paint here on a sheet of paper next to my gel plate. And now I can just go over the punchanella and add texture to my plate. Like this. And I can also do something similar with the cardboard. I can take, let me see, I'm just going to use the orange. And also roll that out. And now I'm going to brayer the paint straight onto the cardboard. And then just use the cardboard as a stamp. So I will be adding texture. And what you have to keep in mind is when you pull a print, what you put on the plate first will be your top layer. You have to see it as building up layers, like putting several sheets of paper on top of each other. When you turn them around, the bottom sheet of paper will then be on top. And that's the same with the paint on the plate. So depending a little bit on how translucent your paint is, you have to keep in mind that if you use opaque colors, solid layers of opaque color in your first layer, then you will not see the layers that you put on the plate afterwards. So here you will see the orange texture in the open areas and not in the areas where there's already paint. Does that make sense? I think that does make sense, right? And I have still some orange on my brayer, and I think I will just go over here a little bit because that will add some of that orange in the open areas. I'm not going to do it everywhere, but in little bits. And I think I will also add some bubble wrap here. And I'm going to use that same magenta because I do like when some colors are being repeated in the variety of strips, so they look nice together, because some of the colors return in some of the other strips. And this way I can keep adding texture where I want it. And now I have to leave this to dry again, because I'm going to use the masking tape to pick up the paint, and the paint needs to be completely dry to be picked up with the masking tape. If it's still a bit wet, the masking tape will just simply not pick it up, and you will get open areas, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to put this one aside again and go back to the other one. the second one. And I don't want to spend too much time on this one because then we might not be able to finish. So I'm going to add a little bit of texture. I think I kind of like this already the way it is, but I think I want to add something there. So let me see. Some of that blue. And adding it to my handmade texture tool. And there we go. I might add a little bit here. And why not a bit more there? And we'll see. We will see what turns out. Not all of the strips will be equally pretty, but combined they can be still good enough, even the ones that are maybe not spectacular on their own. They might be quite pretty if they are combined with other strips. So back to the first one, and hopefully this is dry enough. It will not be ready yet to pull because first I need to apply a solid layer of paint on top of all of this. And that can be white if I want the open areas to be white. It can also be a different color if I want a different color in the open areas. And why is that? Well, if I pull the paint from the plate with the masking tape, then if there are still areas where there is no paint, the tape will remain sticky. And we don't want the tape to be sticky because this side is going to be the side that we are actually going to use. And if that doesn't make sense right now, it will make sense when we get there. So hang on. This looks dry. So I'm ready to apply that solid layer of paint, and I'm going to use the white on this side. And where did I put my white paint? Here's my white paint. I'm going to do white here, and I might do some pale lemon on this side. And I'm just going to roll that out. I think I need a little bit more. So I'm covering everything up, and I can't do that because this will be my bottom layer. All the layers that I've already put on there will be on top of this layer when I lift up my my tape. So that's totally fine. I just want to make sure that there are no open areas anymore. And I'm going to do the same with the other plate. And it looks like this area on this side is still wet because I used a little bit too much paint on that side. And probably here too. So yeah, this is all still wet. So I can't add that extra layer on here yet. So the only thing we can do right now is just wait a little bit for this paint to dry. And Meanwhile, I can take a smaller plate and create the background of the cards. So I can show you that already. So I just have to find a place for this. It's going on the floor. Okay, there we go. And I'm having another plate here. And it is a yellow one, as you can see. Let me see if it's big enough for it's not big enough for the card. That's a shame. I'm going to try it anyway to create that background, even though it is a little bit too small. I will just put some layers on top of each other. So for the cards, I'm using the Recollections Cards and Envelopes, and these are the 5 by 6.5 inch sets. So you have the cards and the envelopes together in a set. And I have a couple here that I already folded. So there is, it is already scored. The paper is scored, but you just have to fold it yourself. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a scoring line already in the middle, so you can easily fold it. And that's what I did with these cards already. So I'm just going to. So to create this background, I used the Prussian blue hue, and I just used this one color and covered the entire background. So that's what I'm going to do. And I need a clean sheet of paper to press down my cards, or at least doesn't need to be clean, but it has to be dry. So I'm rolling out the paint. And then I will place the card on top. And I'm going to put that piece of paper in between, so I can press it down without getting any paint in other areas of this card, like around these edges, for instance. And now I have this white strip at the side there, but I will just add some more paint. Of course, if you do this on the bigger plate, then you can do this in like one go. But now I just have to fix this because I don't have another big plate around. But I guess this will be good enough for now. Yeah. And then I want to create this white area down here, which makes it look like a winter's landscape. And I'm using my white acrylic paint. And I'm just going to roll out this area down here. Too much paint. Way too much paint. Oh, okay. I have to be careful with printing then, but I can do it. So again, I'm taking my Gelli Arts mini tools to create that bottom part, and I'm just going to create some kind of waves. Something like this. It's not really that important. And again, I'm going to press my card down. There we have the bottom part. And then I'm using my Posca marker, my white Posca marker, this one, to create the snowflake effect. And to do that, I have to shake my Posca marker. You always have to shake Posca markers because they have a fluid and a pigment inside. It's basically acrylic paint, but you have to shake because the fluid has to mix with the pigments. Otherwise, there will just come like clear fluid out and the pigments stay behind. And now I'm going to use my scissors. I need something to hold this down. And I'm just going to hit the Posca marker to create the snowflake feel. And now I have my winter landscape background for my ornament cards. So I can put this aside to dry and then get back to my gel plate that now hopefully dried. Hopefully is dry enough. No, it's not. It's not dry enough. Oh boy. Let me see. What else can I do before moving to that? First of all, I can dry this one with my heat tool. So I can create the hole to hold the ornament. Make sure that you keep your heat tool away from the gel plate because we don't recommend applying heat to the gel plate. So I'm using my We're Memory Keepers, what is it called? Crop-a-dile, to create the holes, and you can create small holes and bigger holes, and then you can apply eyelets to it. And I used the bigger hole to hold the ornament, and I'm kind of guessing where the middle of my card is and create the hole. And then I'm putting an eyelet in there. And then I can also use my Crop-a-dile to secure that eyelet, at least if I do it the right way around. That was the wrong way around. So now my eyelet is in. As you can see. And my card is ready to hang an ornament on. But first we have to make the ornament. So how dry is this? This is still not dry, unbelievable. It's probably because it's not really warm in here. I don't have my heater on, even though it was only 4 degrees this morning when I woke up, which is, I have no idea how much it is in Fahrenheit, but it's almost 0. So I'm just going to finish this one. While we're still waiting for the other one. And actually, I can also have a look real quick if there's anything in the chat that I can answer. I don't see anything right now. So I'm just going to roll out this paint. And maybe this will dry before the end of the class, and I can also pull these strips so you will be able to at least see them, even though we might not be using them actually for the ornament that I will create today. And then I'm going to take my chances and just try and pull this paint right here, because I think we waited long enough. Okay, as I said, I used only the smaller tape because I want to be able to add several strips of tape to my ornament, and it's not that big. And if I would use the bigger tape like this, then I could only use like 2.5 or 3 strips. So I prefer this one right now. But as I said before, if you want to use it as a collage material for instance, in your art journal or for a different purpose than this, then it might actually be a fun idea to use the wider one. So I'm now simply sticking the tape to my plate. And if you are someone who is always having trouble with that last layer of paint, so if you have dried paint on your plate, like a ghost print, or if you do it on purpose because you're doing image transfers or whatever technique you're doing where you're working with dried paint on your plate, you always need that last layer of paint to pick up the paint from your plate, right? And some people struggle with how much paint you put on the plate to pull that print. And I also sometimes put too much paint on the plate, and then I want to pull my print and half of the paint stays behind on the plate because the layer of paint needs to be really, really thin. If you struggle with then this is the perfect solution, because now you don't need that extra layer of paint. Everything can be dry and you can just pull everything from the plate with the tape. So if you have the wider tape, you could even do an image transfer, for instance, with tape. Oops, that didn't work well. Let me find a new start. There we go. So here we go. A couple more. Yeah, and I hope it is dry enough. I think it is. And the last one. So now I want to rub it firmly to make sure that the tape sticks to the plate everywhere. No air bubbles underneath. And then I can lift up the tape, and if not all of the paint is coming off, then you can just put it back down and rub a little bit more, which usually happens when the paint was like not completely 100% dry, because if the paint is completely dry, it will pull off much easier. But here we have the first strip. And I don't want these sticky parts because that makes it really hard to store the strips, because it will stick to everything. So I just cut off these areas at the end. And now the tape is not sticky anymore. And I could just put them in a file folder or an envelope or whatever way I want to store it. And I have some fun collage material. So that's why I wanted all the open areas to be filled, because any open areas on the tape will stay sticky. And if you use the tape right away and you put some matte medium on top, then that's okay. So in that matter, you could actually leave some open areas. But if you don't want to use it right away, then it's better to do it this way. And here the paint is giving me a hard time, but it is eventually coming off. Oh, I think I really like this one. Yeah, I do. And as you can see, every single strip is totally different, because I did all these different colors and different texture tools next to each other on one plate. So I get a really nice variety of different strips in different colors and different pattern. This is also a nice one. I like the colors. Pink and orange. I love. And how fun is that pill strip pattern? You also can see the pattern of the foil of the back, on the back. So this is also a reason to, besides that you don't need thick layers of paint, it's also better to use thinner layers of paint because of the drying time. It takes a lot of time waiting for paint to dry, and I'm usually not patient enough for that. This is also fun. And one more. And this one didn't fit on the plate anymore. So I have this little strip here at the side where there's no paint, which will still be sticky, but there is some paint left here. And I'm just going to pick that up. To fill that little gap here at the side. There's still a little bit open. And that will be good enough. So I filled the open areas. Yeah. Okay, so now I have my strips and I can start creating my ornaments. So I'm just going to get this one out of the way. And I'm going to use the star and a brush and my matte medium. And I'm just going to apply the matte medium to my chipboard, which will now stay on top of the chipboard because of that layer of matte medium that I put on there before I started. And I'm just going to apply any strip I like. So I can go, I'm going to put it here in the middle so it just gets to that, how do you call it? The tip. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think to the tip. And I'm just going to cut off the excess here because then it's easier to handle. And I can use this bit later. And I'm also going over on top of my, why isn't that sticking? I don't know why this is not sticking. A little bit more maybe. Yeah, I do have matte medium. I was just thinking maybe I have a different product here, but it is the matte medium actually. So it should just stick. Of course, if you have another fluid adhesive that you prefer to use, then you can totally do that. I'm also using adding a layer on top of the tape because that will keep the edges down, keep them from curling up. Let me see, which one will I put underneath there? That one. So I'm just filling my cardboard with different strips, and I'm just, I only have to pick what I like. I don't do too much thinking. I just look at the combination and think, yeah, this might be a nice combination, and I just use that. And this one on top here. And again, it's not sticking. And I have no idea why. Maybe this particular piece of cardboard is just very much soaking up, even with the layer of matte medium that I already had on top. Ah, this is terrible. And I have no idea why this is happening because I made all of these ornaments that I just showed you already with these products. Okay, I'm just going to do this one down here first. Maybe I use too much. Maybe I'm using a little bit too much of the matte medium, so it's moving around. It's making the paper too wet, maybe. I might actually use my heat gun and help dry it a little bit. That might keep it in place more. Better. Now let's just try again up here. That one strip is just not working. Okay, I think I got it now. Hopefully. And this tiny little bit up here, and I might have a little bit left from my previous ornaments. So I'm just going to use this tiny little bit here. Now, before I can cut all of these strips to size, they need to be really, really dry, because if the strips are still wet, you can't cut them with your scissors, but certainly not with a craft knife. So we have to make sure that these are completely dry. And I would prefer to leave them, to put them aside and leave them to dry for a while, because that's always better than using the heat tool, because it still isn't like completely dry. The paper isn't like completely dry, so it is going to be a little bit difficult, but I definitely want to show you how I cut this to size. So I'm just going with it. So the ones, if you are right-handed, then the ones at the right side of your ornament, the strips on the right sides of your ornament, can be cut with scissors, because you will be able to get very close to the edge with your scissors. If you're left-handed, then it's exactly the other way around. The other side, you will have to use a craft knife to cut, because your scissors simply won't cut on this side. You will just not get it all the way to the edge. So I'm going to take my cutting mat and a knife, and the knife should be like really, really sharp, because otherwise you will tear the paper, especially when it's not dry enough. So I'm just going to see how well this works. And if I can, yes, that did cut actually. And then I'm going to do all of the sides. That I could not cut with my scissors. That's what happens when the paper is still wet. But I think it will be good enough. And only one more. And of course, be careful where you put your fingers. Don't cut in your into your fingers. So there we go. Here is the front of my ornament. And I can do the reverse side of the ornament the same way. So I can, where are my samples? Here. So I can do both sides. And then they are ready to hang. So now I can take my card. And of course, I want to do the other side when before I send it, but I don't have time to do that now, but you get the idea, right? And I'm using again my Crop-a-dile, and this time for the star, I'm using the smaller hole, and I create a tiny hole up there. And then I take some of that. Where did I put my twine? Here it is, the red and white twine. And put it through here. And oops, should be a little bit shorter. Like this. And now my card is ready. So, of course, you can send these cards, but of course you can also just make the ornaments to hang in your own tree. Maybe we can just switch the camera to so you can see me. Hi. Okay, so that was this class. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got some fun ideas, not only to create the ornaments, but also with using the masking tape on the plate. The next Michael Zoom for Gelli Arts will be this coming Tuesday, November 9, and it will be Tanya Ahmed. And she, if you are always wondering what to do with all of your gel prints, she will show you how you can create beautiful holiday cards using your gel prints. So make sure to register for that class too. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Michaels, for having us. And I hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye.